When the facts bend reality, this is beyond plausible.
No matter how much you love nature, how mesmerized you are by its dazzling beauty, how attracted you are to cute wild animals, there is one thing you cannot deny. This is a very harsh and violent world. Sharp teeth and razor-sharp claws are created by carnivores to tear apart prey. Fangs with glands release fluids that can paralyze or even kill opponents in a matter of minutes. When thinking about dangerous objects launched to harm opponents, we probably immediately think of human conflicts. But humans are not the only animals in the world capable of launching an object with the purpose of destroying a target. The use of long-range weapons by non-human creatures is rare, but in the wild, it is not unheard of. Because survival in the wild is truly a relentless battle, nature has also continuously evolved and innovated. Some animals have developed their attack methods and weapons in extremely unique ways. Bombardier beetles can spray a harmful chemical mixture with an extremely high temperature. Some fish can shoot their prey in the air with almost 100% accuracy. And a special type of fungus can send its spores flying at an astonishing speed. In fact, in nature, there are hundreds of creatures that can use weapons similar to human bullets. Whether it's for self-defense, hunting, or even reproduction. And these creatures are a source of inspiration, fascination, and they have puzzled scientists for centuries. This is a video about the astonishing bullets of the natural world. Earth is home to over 400,000 types of beetles, and there are many predators that can eat them. From the smallest predators like frogs, toads, shrews, birds, and even other insects like ants. Having many enemies has forced beetles to develop special defense mechanisms. Charles Darwin directly experienced this in 1846 while hunting for various beetles in the forest. After finding 2 beetles, he accidentally spotted a third one crawling under a piece of bark. But what to do when both of Darwin's hands were already busy? Darwin wrote in his journal, "I couldn't bear to give up one of my 2 carabid beetles, and losing the Panageus was also unacceptable. So in desperation, I gently placed one of the 2 carabid beetles between my molars. It was a terrible experience where I felt disgust and pain. An indescribable feeling when the tiny creature casually squirted its acid down my throat." The chemical defense mechanism, similar to what Darwin directly experienced, is the key to survival for over 500 species collectively known as bombardier beetles. These bombardier beetles rely on benzoquinone. This toxic chemical is also used by millipedes, harvestmen, and some other insects. But these special bombardier beetles have a completely unique way of using benzoquinone. They trigger a chemical reaction inside their bodies, heating the fluid in their abdomen and causing it to explode directly. Some species can even aim their spray nozzles in almost any direction. They manage this action thanks to their unique physiological organs. Bombardier beetles have 2 internal chambers containing volatile substances, each surrounded by a flexible membrane and connected by a biological valve. One of those chambers contains hydroperoxide and hydroquinone, while the other contains peroxidase and other enzymes. When the bombardier beetle feels threatened, it triggers the mixture of these liquids, causing an intense exothermic chemical reaction. The liquid is boiled, sprayed out at extremely high speed, and when all this happens, the beetle still suffers no damage. This chemical ability is an extremely good method of protecting the bombardier beetle from predators. A group of researchers examined how the bombardier beetle Pheropsophis jessensis defends against toads. They let the beetles be swallowed whole, then could hear the explosion sound coming from inside the toad's stomach. In the experiment, one toad species had to vomit out 34% of the bombardier beetles they ate, and another vomited out 57%. Whether the bombardier beetle was in the toad's mouth for a few minutes or up to 107 minutes. All of them survived the experience of passing through the digestive tract and lived on for a long time afterward. Few insects can survive long in stomach acid, but these beetles managed it. Some other scientists also examined how bombardier beetles attack against Japanese quails. It turns out, most quails will refuse to eat the plump bombardier beetles, even if they are unable to spray acid. However, other birds like the great tit will eat the bombardier beetles after the poor beetle has sprayed all its acid onto the ground or onto the bird's feathers. Great tits seem too clever. They know how to avoid direct sprays. But with the number of beetle species that have evolved to be able to bombard, it seems the birds have also encountered some disadvantages. In the kingdom of wild animals, not all bullets are chemical, and not everyone shoots haphazardly like bombardier beetles. In reality, there is an animal that shoots with such precision that it can be compared to human sharpshooters. Using explosive energy to scare off prey is one thing, but actually shooting down prey is completely different. A skill that only the most accomplished individuals can possess. We humans are not the only creatures capable of hunting with projectiles, and it is not a skill unique to mammals either. Along the mangrove forests of the Indo-Pacific region are schools of archerfish. This particular fish possesses a top-notch sharpshooting skill, with an average size of 12 to 18 centimeters and the largest individuals reaching up to 40 centimeters. These archerfish combine sensitive eyes, a unique mouth, and an impressive brain to shoot deadly water jets at prey up to 3 meters above them. In laboratory environments, these fish can achieve up to 100% accuracy when shooting at targets. They turn the water around them into the most dangerous weapon. Archerfish use a relatively simple water jet mechanism, with special grooves in their mouth and tongue that help focus the water. They use their gill covers to draw water into their mouths and can create a water jet up to 10 times their body length. Because the force of the back is greater than at the front, the water stream becomes a powerful, bright spot that knocks prey from their hiding places. From tiny spiders to moderately sized insects, all are prey for archerfish. When prey falls into the water, archerfish can quickly calculate its position, then shoot forward using a technique called sea start. The fish's body arches and darts forward rapidly, propelling them ahead. These physical abilities are already impressive, but for scientists, the most astonishing part of archerfish is their brain. First, consider all the challenges they face simply in locating prey on the water's surface. In brackish mangrove environments, where most archerfish live, the water can be murky or have ripples due to wind or other organisms. Roots, branches, and leaves can block their line of sight to prey. Even if prey clings to the underside of a leaf, accurate targeting remains very difficult. But archerfish can even shoot at prey above the leaf surface by relying only on the prey's silhouette. And to do all that, archerfish must calculate where the prey actually is. Light refracts when passing from air to water, meaning archerfish cannot aim directly at the prey they detect. These fish must adjust their shots for light refraction while still tracking the prey. Archerfish are also highly curious creatures. They explore anything new and consider it a potential food source. In a report by a field research team, it was noted that the fish readily shot at cameras, spherical bread samples, parts of equipment, objects printed on paper, or the noses and eyes of experimenters. But in nature, how do these fish distinguish between a rustling leaf and an insect spreading its wings? Scientists are not entirely sure about this. But through laboratory observations of archerfish visual abilities compared to humans, their vision appears equivalent to ours. Somehow, these fish can distinguish between various targets in experiments and shoot them down. The intellectual abilities of archerfish do not end there. These fish can distinguish between smaller and larger quantities, even when the difference is relatively small, such as 3 and 4. Researchers also set up a test where fish were trained to react to specific human face images, then tested by using different faces as targets. Researchers found that archerfish recognized targets with up to 89% accuracy. Although they lack the brain structure theoretically required for such ability. Some observations suggest archerfish also rely on social learning to hone their shooting skills. This makes their targeting ability and experience increasingly refined over time. In fact, they are so adept at social learning that when observed in the laboratory, it was found that archerfish could become very skilled at a new task, simply by watching other fish perform it, without any prior practice themselves. Despite their impressive sharpshooting ability, archerfish still primarily hunt prey underwater. Sometimes they also use water jets to dislodge crustaceans or small fish buried in underwater sediment. Depending on their distribution location, aerial prey can make up 25% of this fish's diet. With this relatively small proportion, the question of why they developed water jet hunting in the first place remains unanswered. Scientists are still uncertain, but they hypothesize it relates to the fluctuating conditions of mangrove forests. It may also be that aerial prey provides nutritional components they cannot get from their underwater diet. We are still on a journey to find answers to these questions. But archerfish have proven that social skills, tool use, pattern recognition, and counting abilities are not exclusive to primates. In a wild world full of surprises, the ability to use projectiles is not even exclusive to the animal world. Some organisms, though immobile, are capable of creating the fastest projectiles in evolutionary history. We have seen many species, such as insects and fish, incorporate ballistics into their survival strategies. However, perhaps the most astonishing example of projectile use in nature belongs to fungi. Though not mobile like other organisms, they still produce some of the fastest movements in the natural world. All for the purpose of dispersing spores as far as possible. Two genera of fungi exemplifying this ability are Spherobolus and Pilobolus, commonly known as cannonball fungus and artillery fungus. Both grow on various surfaces like rotting wood, fallen leaves, or animal dung. They both have small fruiting bodies that stretch toward light. The key difference lies in their strategy for launching spores as far as possible. But for both, dispersal distance is crucial. Since they cannot move, they need to send spores far away from the surface they inhabit. This is especially important for Pilobolus fungi. This fungus needs to overcome the moist area of the animal dung pile, because part of its life cycle occurs in the intestines of animals. Thus, it must disperse spores onto grass for animals to ingest. To achieve maximum distance, Pilobolus relies on fluid pressure. As the spore sac develops, fluid accumulates beneath the spore. Increasing pressure forms a bubble behind the spore until it exceeds the tolerance threshold. It bursts and propels the spore at extremely high speeds, up to 210 meters per second, nearly matching the velocity of a rifle bullet. Spherobolus, on the other hand, uses a different strategy to disperse its tiny spores. In spring and autumn, when temperatures are below 25 degrees Celsius, small buds behave to stretch toward light. The spherical fruiting body is very small, only 2 millimeters in diameter, but contains up to 10 million spores. Surrounding the spores is a coat-like layer. This layer peels off when the spores are ready to launch. But instead of exploding like Pylobolus, your artillery fungus spore is ejected by a cup-shaped structure, which snaps up suddenly like a tiny spring. The trigger for this burst is osmotic pressure, generated from the conversion of glycogen into sugar. The spores can fly as far as 6 meters and produce a small sound upon bursting. Despite its impressive spore dispersal ability, Spherobolus can be a nuisance to humans. The brown and black spores stick to vinyl walls, windows, and cars and are difficult to clean. But they are essentially harmless to humans and are a great example of nature's ingenuity. With superior intelligence, humans easily think they have a monopoly on creativity, especially in the field of weaponry. But clearly, nature also has its own ways of making an impression. Intelligence helps humanity develop many strategies to manipulate the environment. But sometimes evolution also enables organisms to demonstrate similar techniques.
Curious? Subscribe and step through the next anomaly.